Hello, my name is Yvette Lucas from JSTD's WAE Center, and I'm here with another class on kitchen table printmaking. Today we will be creating a monotype embossed effect, and all we'll need is some water-based markers, wax paper, and some mixed media paper. You'll also need some tools to incise into the paper to create the emboss we'll be using pencil, plastic forks, skewers, whatever you can find that will make a mark in the paper. I'll show you what I mean in this next clip. In this image, you can see the white lines from the embossing that we've made on the paper and the overlaying color that we printed on top of the lines. The lines give a nice structure and interest and texture to the image. Here's another example, a close-up of the same kind of effect to use to enhance your image. Hope you like this. In the process, it'll be fun. So let's get started. All right. So we've got our wax paper, shiny side up. Oops, don't do that. Shiny side up. And what I've done is, to start, I'll take my paper that I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to trace the outside of the paper, a line all the way around. And this will be helpful when we want to register the print later. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw on this paper underneath the wax paper. We'll just line it up. And what we hope to do is to incise lines, that is to push the pencil hard enough to make a dent in the paper underneath the wax. Because what we'll do in the end, when we color this, the wax paper, we're going to make a print on top of the embossed lines, and then you'll get a fine drawing underneath your painted work. And it'll be quite nice to have that. So I've decided to do a scene from a photograph that I took, and I'm going to take some license with it, but I'm going to basically follow this design. And I'm going to push hard enough with my pencil to make sure that I can get a nice deep line through it. So what I might start out with is some of the main elements, like this tree here. I'm going to start with this. Drawing this. You can see I'm pushing down, and you will actually get the image of the that you're creating with the pencil. It'll actually show up on the wax, so it'll be a good reference for when you go back to paint. Right. So now I have some incised lines. Not sure you can see it, but if I hold it up to the light, you might see an indent. So this is what we're going to work with. I've used plastic fork, skewer to make more marks in it. And you can work on over this as much as you like to get more texture. You'll be able to see it when you make your print. So we'll be back with the next steps. So the next step we're going to do is to remove our paper that we incised, and we're going to do the fun part, which is painting our wax paper with markers. So I'm going to flip this over, because it'll line up this way with the paper that we dug into, and we'll be able to make a print based on where we put the colors. So this is nice and helpful because we can follow these lines and see where our painting is going to go. And I'm using these water-based markers, which will lift up when we add the damp paper to it. So you'll get quite a nice watercolor effect with these. These are Tombow acid-free water-based markers, but any water-based or water-soluble markers will work. Okay, so I'm going to color this in, and we'll be back. So I finished coloring the outline of the drawing on the wax paper using the markers, and I filled out as much as the background as I could because that will show our drawing underneath better when we print it. So let's get started. We're going to take our image, and you may not see it, but the incise lines of the tree is here. So we want to match this up perfectly so that the color will get right into on the paper where we want it. So we need a nice damp sponge. We don't want it dripping wet, but we want it nice and damp so we can wet the paper. And we don't want drops, we don't want drips, but what we do want is nice even covering of water. And that's what gives us this nice effect when we put it over it. So just going to make sure that it's wet enough, and then I'm going to blot it a little bit. Got a nice sheen to it. Make sure I get the corners. Okay, so there's no water drops on it, but it is shiny. So what I'm going to do is carefully line this up with the outline, our lines. And spread it out very quickly. You really want to make that contact right away on the damp paper. And right now this paper is absorbing the color from the markers. And we let it sit for a little bit and rub, just so that it gives the paper a chance to soak this up. So we're using a mixed media paper, which is good for wet or dry medium. And so you can get it wet and it's not going to fall apart. The one thing about this process is we're going to try to get as much ink up as possible in the first pass, but what I like about this is that you can re-wet the paper. If you didn't get all the color that you wanted to, you can re-wet the paper and get some more. But you know what? This is looking pretty good. I'm just going to lift this up. Okay. So I think this absorbed the paper very well, and you can see some of the incise lines and the texture of the wax paper as well. So I'm really happy with this. But you do get a much softer, more of a watercolory effect using the markers in this way. Okay. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this version of kitchen table printmaking with the WAE Center. Please join us for the next episode. We'll be doing a few of these for while we are at home. And I hope you will hit a like and that you'll see us next time.